Welcome to episode 18 of the Ben Briggs podcast. I am Ben Briggs. It is Saturday, the 6th of July, 2019. The year is cracking on, people. July already. Fucking hell. Today I am fucking dying. Not literally, people out there. But I've crashed and burnt today after a week full of gigs. I'm not gigging tonight. It's about, I don't know, man. I only woke up about a couple of hours ago. It's like 10 past 10 at night now. Isn't it? Just sneaking it in. Getting this uploaded before another day begins. But yeah, I've crashed and burnt today, man. It's been a long, heavy week of gigs. Gigs that have been fucking miles away and late finishes, getting back late, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then today it's all caught up with me. Just one of those days where it's all caught up with me today and I've been asleep most of the day. I know, it's a nice little life at the weekend, like for a Saturday. A nice little sleepy day. Just a nice relaxing sleepy day today. But the gigs this week, well, since Tuesday anyway, since I last spoke to you, let's have a cup of tea, see if I can. This is my morning now. That's it. 10 past 10 at night. That's my morning. I know. Most of you are probably, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing right now. I imagine not in nightclubs. I imagine I don't get many young people listening to this. It's all middle-aged people. You're probably all tucked up in bed as I'm talking right now. Let's have a little bit of tea, wake myself up. British tea. Don't get colonial, Ben. Don't get colonial. Yeah, so it's been nice. It's been nice this week. Busy with gigs this week. Wednesday, when did I last speak to you? Tuesday. Wednesday, I was in, fuck knows, where was I? Jesus. This is the thing. Everywhere rolls into each other. Wednesday, I was in Louth. Yes. Louth, Lincolnshire. That was a nice gig. It was sort of like at a hotel, the Priory Hotel. I'll name it. It sounds like, some sort of rehabilitation centre, the Priory, where you go when you're hooked on smack or something like that. But I tell you what, it was fucking lovely. I thoroughly recommend that gig. And the geezer who runs the hotel, Paul, and his team there, he is the most positive geezer I've ever met in my life. I've got to put it out there, man. He's the most positive geezer I've met. He was just instantly likeable, really passionate about what he does. And just couldn't do enough for you. I could have stayed over in the hotel and that, but I decided to come back. But it was the most positive, you know, like it's a damn fucking rare thing these days where somebody's actually fucking positive about what they do. And he just radiated that sort of thing. I had a bit of a man crush on him, I think. Yeah, but it's a fucking damn... Most places, you go to a gig, and I was chatting to this about one of the acts actually that night, and I said, most places you go, and you turn up, and you say, oh yeah, I'm here for the comedy night, or something like that, and they go, I don't know, there's a comedy night, John. And you go, well, apparently, you know, there is... Oh, I don't know anything to do with it. And not just in Birmingham, because of that accent, but it suits the sort of like attitude, that Birmingham accent. But yeah, most places you turn up, they don't give a fuck. This guy actually gave a fuck. And he actually does quite a nice thing at the hotel. He sort of like employs people with learning difficulties, I think. I think that's a politically correct term for it. People with Down syndrome, learning difficulties, that sort of thing. And... you know, he's given a bit back. He's helping people out. But he's so positive and showed us around the grounds of the hotel. Said anytime you want to come back in the week or anything and you just want a day of writing, just come up and chill out and that sort of thing. Couldn't do enough for us. And the gig was fucking lovely as well. I always find it interesting because obviously there's people with Down syndrome working there and that. They seem like the way we all ought to be. I know I'm putting out stereotypes out there and that sort of thing, but I was talking to somebody about this the other night. People with Down syndrome always seem so happy, positive, like very talkative, don't have those, weird social things where like, oh, is it all right to talk now or not? Like really open. I don't know, man. I'm not saying that's the way to be, but like there's worse ways. I know it's quite a bad thing, having Down syndrome, I imagine. But they seem so loving, caring people. It's an interesting thing. It's almost like the way humanity should be. No hang-ups, no nastiness. There's very few serial killers with Down syndrome. I've never heard of a Down syndrome serial killer. They're all like really nice people, open, friendly, loving. It's the way society ought to be. That should be the way it is. Not like the fucking, the whole experience of going there, meeting those people, meeting the guys who run it, like Paul and his son and his family and that are all there, and meeting the people at the gig and that. Everyone's fully behind it. And, even before me, there was a guy who actually works there who was doing 5 minutes before me, bless him. And I don't know. I think he's had a lot of issues in his past and with various things. And he was, I don't know whether he had learning difficulties or something like that. But he was doing 5 minutes before me, which instantly, not because he's got learning difficulties, by the way, just to clarify that. Not because he's got learning difficulties, but anybody new who works at a venue, who everybody knows, in the audience knows, and they're doing 5 minutes. So you've got all that. They're doing 5 minutes of stuff before you. So there's a lot of love in the room for this guy. People want him to succeed. And to be fair, he had a couple of nice fucking lines, to be fair to him. One about STDs. Saying something about like I don't know how he finds it difficult to talk to people, so he just wanted to, he's got no chance of getting an STD, which was a good line. The way he played it was a good line. It suited his character. He was writing for himself, talking from experience. But when you've got to follow somebody like that, and there's a lot of love in the fucking room for him, I was like, oh. Fucking hell, standing at the back, just get. I know you want the guy to have a nice gig or whatever, but you don't want him to kill it for you, do you? All that like, so everybody's sitting there going like, he was lovely. Oh, what a lovely guy. He's living his dream. And I walk on being all cunty. There's a definite sea change in the room when I worked on. But they were lovely. They were so nice. Like the audience was so nice. They were good fun. They went with some dark shit, and the guys there who ran the gig were just so nice. It's so nice, like feeling appreciated. You know what I mean? Turning up to a gig rather than like somebody who just doesn't know what's going on. Don't even know if there's a gig on. There's no posters up or anything like that. It was like a real community spirit at the gig. And the ethos of that seems to run through the whole hotel and all of the and the way those people live their lives there. And it's just fucking amazing. It was amusing watching. I was talking to one of the Down syndrome guys. I didn't get his name, to be honest. But I was chatting to him a little bit, and it's interesting how awkward. I know, like it's like an unsaid sort of thing, but we all feel a bit awkward sometimes, like that. I'm going to be perfectly honest. That's how I feel. You feel a bit awkward sometimes talking. They're human beings. But you get that thing in your don't you? Yeah, and you think, oh, this is fucking awkward or whatever. But the more people, that's the good thing about meeting people like that. The more times you meet people like that, the more relaxed you get around people like that. Not that you ought to be relaxed, but But it was quite interesting watching one of the lads talking to a couple, and this woman was like really uncomfortable talking to him, just giving like, yep, okay, and it was if she was, and you just feel like going over and just going, just fucking chill out and let him, let him talk to you and that sort of thing. That's what he wants to do. Those people they're lovely people, man, lovely people. I know you shouldn't stereotype, and I know it seems like I'm patronising in some way, but the world will be a fucking lot better place, I tell you what, if we all had one extra chromosome. I think that's my philosophy on it. I think it would be a lot more loving, less serial killers. There's not a lot of, like I said, there's not a lot of Down syndrome or people with learning difficulties who turn into serial killers. It's always the other way, isn't it? It's not loving, caring people like that. It's always people like normal people like the Ted Bundys. He seems so normal. Of course he's a fucking serial killer if he seems fucking normal. With all them normal hang-ups that everybody's got about fucking society and ego and narcissism and all that sort of thing. Of course he's going to turn into a fucking serial killer if he's what society deems as being the most normal person around. With all those little fucking hang-ups that we've all got. But that was a fucking lovely gig. So, and I'd thoroughly recommend anybody. I can't hold the place up enough. That's the Priory Hotel in Louth. I can't. The comedy night's fucking amazing. They put a curry on and stuff like that. I feel like I've doing a little bit of advertising for him, but I can't recommend the place enough. I fucking left there as if I'd just won like the fucking generation game. I left there with like, he goes, oh, we brew these beers on site. Take a couple of these beers with you, which are fucking lovely, by the way. He gave me a CD of a band he manages, contact details if ever I want to stay up there. I was just missing the cuddly toy. That was it when I left there. So I can't, it's just nice to meet nice people sometimes. When you're fucking knackered, you've done a 3-hour drive to the venue, which it was about a 3-hour drive to the venue, and then you turn up and like you just meet like the loveliest people in the world, and you're like, this is what it's all about, people. This is what it's all about. So other gigs, so that was a lovely gig. I did Norwich on Thursday, and then Norwich on Thursday, which was nice. Not many people there, not a lot there, but it was nice to fuck around a little bit. I was closing that gig. That's the sort of pull I have, by the way, people. I close gigs and not many people turn up. And if they do, I often feel look a bit horrified. Let's have a bit more tea. Hang on. Sorry, I'm taking this nice and relaxed tonight. Bit of tea. There we go. So the Norwich gig was nice, and then I was in Lowestoft last night, and that was like, it took about 4 hours to get there, man, because it's Friday fucking traffic and everybody. And it's all, I don't know what the problem is. East Coast. That's what I've been doing, my East Coast tour this week. It seems like a fucking East Coast tour anyway. Like Norwich, fucking Ipswich, Louth, that's like up there near the East Coast, and then down in Lowestoft last night. And the East Coast, if anybody doesn't know, the East Coast of England, it's got no fucking motorways or anything, so it's like all A and B roads, like dual carriageways and that, so, or single carriageways where you get stuck behind a tractor or something, and man, you can waste 20 minutes. Just there ought to be a special time when tractors go out on those roads. First thing in the morning, last thing at night. And if not, the farmer's just stuck in his field. Rather than inconveniencing everybody else like me, who were trying to get to places. But last night, Lowestoft was nice. I was comparing that gig, so it was nice. I just fuck about a little bit when I'm comparing. Get to know people. Hey, what's your name? What do you do? That's great. What's your name? What do you do? It's a little bit more advanced than that, but it ain't far off. And then I was fucking around. It was actually quite nice last night. There was a police inspector, a fucking Rosa, a female police inspector as well. Only in 2019 would that happen. A female police woman. Is that what they're called? A police officeress? A policeman woman. There was. I know that's winding people up by me saying that. I know. But it just makes me laugh because I know that somebody at some point listening into the future will get annoyed by me saying there was a policeman woman there last night. Hey, Ben, are you assuming her gender? She said she was a policewoman, so I assume she identified as female. She might only identify as female whilst wearing a police uniform, though. Nobody questions that. I didn't ask that question. I didn't delve too deeply. Before you get into the uniform, do you think of yourself as a man or a woman? Definitely a woman when I'm in uniform. Yes. Anyway, I was talking to her last night. Obviously from the stage through an amplification device. And she became my little intro woman who was introing me for the sections. It was essentially a bit like a gig, like everybody in the gig, apart from 4 people, knew everybody else, which sort of like changes the dynamics of the gig because it becomes like as if it's like a corporate or a family party or something like that. But she was. I asked her, like when I was talking to her, like from the stage, I said, "What's the weirdest, like death you've ever seen?" Because I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by weird deaths. It's like the geezer falling out of the airplane the other day that I was talking about, and that sort of thing, who just missed a sunbather. And I've seen the crater in the floor that he left, that his iced up body. As he was plummeting to earth, left in the geezer's garden. And it is a fucking hell of a crater. Fuck me. It just looks like a meteor's hit. A Kenyan meteor just whacked into somebody's back garden as they're fucking sunbathing. Anyway. But yeah, I'm fascinated by shit like that because that's what you get remembered for. Like if you die in a weird way, it doesn't matter what you achieved throughout the whole of your life. People are going to remember you for that. And she came out with a bit of a corker, to be fair to her. She did come out with a corker. She was saying they went to a flat and there was a guy obviously dead and he was naked on the sofa. And he was obviously dead. And then as they were sort of like just like trying to figure out, somebody accidentally tapped the laptop that was sitting on the table in front of him. And a load of fucking hardcore pornography started playing. And then they noticed on the side there was like some tissues and that. And the old boy... The old boy had died mid-masturbation. What a way to go, eh? Jesus. That's something you can't hide, isn't it? You know, that is something you're going to be remembered for. Oh, do you hear Gary died? Who's Gary? You know Gary. Gary who died. You must know Gary. Wanked himself to death. Oh, yeah, that Gary. Dear. I did. It's like the Richard Pryor thing, isn't it? Came and went at the same time. That's it. But Jesus fucking hell, what a way to go! And the thing was, I even delved in even deeper with it and said, did he manage to finish? You know, because if he managed to finish, that's good. At least he's committed to that wank that he's just had, but she said he didn't. And I just imagine a very frustrated ghost. That would be like the porn version of the Patrick Swayze film Ghost, wouldn't it? He's just that's if they ever made a porno of that film, they probably have. They probably have made a porno of that film. But if they do, that would be the porn version of that film where somebody dies mid-masturbation. And then he spends the rest of the film just trying to finish. Oh, fucking hell. He learns how to fucking move things with his fucking hands like he does, and then suddenly you just see this eruption at the end of the film, just all over somebody who looks vaguely like Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, dear. But anyway, poor old fucking boy. But it was very funny last night when she was telling us about that. I was in bits, really. And to not even finish that, poor old boy, man, that is frustration. That is commitment to it, though, because if he's had a heart attack, he must have been getting, he must have been getting palpitations and thought, no, I can make it through this. Just stroke another couple of times and all this dizzy feeling and pain in my chest will go. Oh, fuck me, man. It was funny. Anyway, sorry, I just chinked the old tea against the microphone there. Let's have a bit more tea. Let's have a look. So that was that, and the gig was nice, and I did all right. I did nicely. So I hate people who do that. I did really well. Hey, man, that's the worst thing about this, by the way. It sounds like I'm one of these comedians. I don't know. You may not be friends with comedians, but we are the worst people on Facebook. It sounds like one of the things that people go, hey, it was a nice gig, and I did great. Hey, this is a lovely gig, which basically means I did well, and please book me again. That's basic. That's shorthand. Hey, man, this is a really lovely gig. I did great, and please book me again in the future. That's it. And possibly number 3, please comment that I did great underneath here. So other people and promoters can see it. Jesus. That's shorthand. That's comedian shorthand for that. That is, I did great. It's like, hey, man, anybody know if there's a parking space near? And then they'll put like the Comedy Store London, which basically means they're playing the Comedy Store London. Nobody ever says, anybody know if there's a parking space near the Holly Bush in Craigley Heath? Not that there's anything wrong with the old legendary bush, but it's an open mic night. It runs weekly. Nobody's ever going, hey, anybody know if there's a parking space near the Holly Bush? Just Google it. Just Google nearest parking space to there. You don't have to use Facebook as Google. People who fucking questioning on Facebook. Hey guys, anybody know if there's do you know the best sort of camera to use for? Just Google it. Just Google best sort of cameras for fucking narcissistic twats who want a response on Facebook. This podcast started quite positive this evening, talking about that Louth gig. Anyway, let's move on to some stuff. It was a bit of a shame, the old Lionesses. They lost, and they lost in the semis of the World Cup final. You fucking losers. But they went out like all England teams go out, playing well and being slightly robbed by missing a penalty and having a goal disallowed for a marginal offside. That's happy. The country is happy with that. We were valiant losers, and we're happy with that. But they played well. It was quite an exciting game, particularly the second half. But they're out. They're just like every other England side, England footballing side, and they are out. So, and I think, is the final tomorrow? I think the final might be tomorrow. It's usually on a Sunday, I think. But I know the third, fourth game was today, and they lost that, and all the fucking losers. So they've come from lionesses. They are mere lion cubs again now. But maybe 4 years' time, 2 years' time, do they have the Euros in the females? Do they let them play in Europe? Possibly not. Probably wouldn't let them play in Turkey, even though that's not part of the EU, but technically, I don't know whether that's technically part of Europe, isn't it? I don't know. Let's have some more tea while I think about it. My lack of geographical knowledge coming out there. One of the main things this week, people are going ape shit over the Black Little Mermaid. Yeah, I know, because in the live version of the Little Mermaid, there is a black woman who has been cast as the main mermaid, and people are saying it's wrong that black people should play the part of a half woman, half fish, and this is disgusting on the internet. It's political correctness gone mad. The black woman has the bottom half of a fish and the top half of a black woman. It should be only it should only be white top half of a mermaid and bottom half fish. So people are getting annoyed by that. I saw one post on the internet that said it's like having tigers playing the Lion King. It's not really, is it? Because firstly, it's a fish. The bottom half is a fish, and I'm not sure if that woman was aware that tigers and lions are actually a different species, whereas black people and white people are actually, I don't know if you know this, we're actually the same species, human beings, whereas again, the tigers and lions are not the same species. Although, saying that, I am not for it having I know, controversial. How's he going to pull this one back? I'll tell you how I'm going to pull this back. Because I don't think they ought to be making the movie in the first place. Coughed up a bit of phlegm there. Because it's fucking awful. And why can't they? Why do they have to do the remakes? That's it. It's like it's like they're going, right, hey, look how cool we are. We got a black half-fish woman rather than a white half-fish woman now. Hey, aren't we the coolest? No. Just write something new. Why don't Disney just get off their ass and instead of rehashing live versions of fucking past animated films that they've done, they're just making live. They did the live version of Beauty and the Beast, didn't they? That could have gone horribly wrong if they cast a black person in that. It wouldn't. And they go, hey, we've got black people in this now. Yeah, but they're playing the Beast. That would have been. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see them go, hey guys, we got black people in stuff now, Disney, and they just get it horribly, horribly wrong. Like the Little Mermaid, that just has a massively, like, really stereotypical Southern American black person accent. That would be fucking amazing. Oh, I'd pay to watch that. Just for the cringe factor of seeing how Disney are trying to be cool but just get it horribly wrong. They give her the accent of the crows out of the fucking Jungle Book. Oh, fuck me. That would be amazing. But I imagine it's going to be all like fucking, you know. My point with this is, why don't they just write something new? Instead of saying, you know, like, hey, man, we've got a black little half fish woman now, instead of a white half fish woman. Why don't they? I know it's good that like black people are getting those parts and that sort of thing, and that is a good thing. But why don't they just fucking fund something? You know, like I know Black Panther was meant to be, hey man, it's an all black film and that. You got Martin Freeman in there. You know, he was one of the main characters in there, and he's like, yeah, it wasn't an all black film. He was in there unless he was playing the part of a black man but didn't black up for it. Maybe that was it. I'm not sure. Maybe that was it. But he was one of the main characters and he was white. Why don't they just do that? Just, like, start from scratch and go, right, we're going to have a strong female black character and we're going to make this, you know, so, you know, black people can finally, after all these years in the Disney universe, have a strong black character to relate to and that. Why don't they just do that, fucking that, and just write something completely new and make it fucking amazing, and then just, you know, just put that out there and keep doing it, and not just have like a token gesture, like of saying, hey, we've done that that'll see us through for the next 20 years. Just do that. So I'm against it, the Black Little Mermaid, but only on that basis. Why aren't they just funding fucking, you know, multiracial and have strong, like, diverse characters of all ethnicities? Hey, Ben, you getting a bit lefty? Yeah, I am a little bit. It went a bit right there. Do you see what I did there? I stepped right, sold you the dummy, and then took it left. I was like fucking Cristiano Ronaldo there. Walking along that tightrope of racism. But why don't they just fucking do that, man? You know, write something fucking original instead of rehashing shit like they always do, because there's always a market for it, and they're just updating it for a new fucking generation. Just scrap it and, you know, write something else. Because they've got the script there already for it, and they're just like, hey, instead of, like, drawing this, you just act this shit out. Okay, I'll act that out. That's, fucking hell. Just write something new. Have a fucking idea, Disney. Jesus. Anyway, fucking hell, that's my thoughts on that. Jesus Christ. We're at 32 minutes, man. Thanks for listening to this episode, guys. I'll be back on Tuesday. You can like my YouTube channel. Links are available on my website. You can subscribe to that. I'm going to be putting some more videos up this week. Website is www.benbriggs.co.uk. Like the podcast on Facebook at the Ben Briggs Podcast. And if you've got any questions or want to send anything in, it's info. No, it's not. It's podcast at benbriggs.co.uk. Okay. Have a good weekend, guys. It's going to be a scorcher here in the UK, and I'll speak to you on Tuesday. Cheers. Take care.